I'm Andrea Robinson. I'm the Director of Sustainability and Greening for the DNCC.
Okay, and tell me what that job means. What do you do?
Well, the DNCC, this is the first time they've ever hired a Director of Greening, my position, and I think it shows a deepened commitment to sustainability for the party and for the convention itself. So my goal was to, and my task was to make this a green event. And there was no roadmap for it, so ultimately I thought, I spoke with the venues, I thought about our offices, I thought about the energy, the waste, the water, the materials that are being shipped, our carbon footprint, our offset possibilities, our efficiency projects, and figured out how can we incorporate all these things into all our venues and make this the most sustainable political convention in modern American history.
Very small task, right?
Tiny goal, this small.
One of the most visible parts of your efforts has been the Green Team volunteers that are manned at every recycling, compost, and trash bin around the city at the convention sites this week. Can you tell me what went into putting that on and how it's going so far?
Yes, resource recovery was an important part of creating a sustainable convention. So ultimately our goal was 85% waste diversion from landfill. And the way to reach that goal is to have about 700 plus volunteers helping us at our resource recovery stations, which we made up of a compost bin, a landfill bin, and a recycling bin. And so those volunteers help guide people when they come to dispose of something they've got, whether it be food or paper or just, you know, a potato chip bag, that kind of thing. And they say, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. So ultimately that's the first part of interface with the public in terms of waste and educating them on what we're trying to do here and how to make it sustainable. Then all those bags of waste make their way to the centralized sorting station. And that's where we have centralized sorters or people who are dedicated to literally digging through every bag, trying to find out what things are impure in that. So compost can only have about a 5% contamination rate. And so we have to make sure it's pretty pure. Otherwise it won't be accepted by our compost facility. So we go through the compost and make sure the recyclables are in the right sort of channels, and we put them in their individual compactors and then weigh them and then third-party verify them so we really know what our percentage would be of waste diversion.
Now, I know I'm just a guy with a camera, and I've been having technical difficulties and running into snags all week long. How smoothly have things gone for you so far?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, these things are fluid. In a way, you have your goal of 85%, but you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know if people are going to be creating a lot of waste, if they're going to be eating at parties later, so they're not really producing a lot of waste. You don't really know. So ultimately, you have to work with what you're given. And we've got these resource recovery stations in the Hyatt, in the Convention Center, in the Pepsi Center, and in the media pavilions. So these are areas where all different kinds of events are going on. And ultimately we have them in our kitchens. We trained our kitchen staffs, our caterers on how to collect the compost and recycling. So we'll know at the end of the event if we met our goal or not. And ultimately we may not, we may fall short, we may have exceeded it. But the biggest thing is that we tried.
And now you're also trying to make this one of the lower, well, you're trying to have as low carbon emissions as possible. How is that going? Do you have any sense of how you're doing on that front?
Well, in terms of our carbon footprint, it's never been measured before for a Democratic convention, so I thought it was very important to at least have a baseline of where we are. And then to see if we incorporate all our efficiency measures, our waste reduction measures, our transportation measures, a certain kind of fuel we're using, the power we're using for the venues, how do we incorporate all this into measurable carbon reductions, greenhouse gas emissions reductions. So for example, with our resource recovery, if we meet our goal of 85%, we could significantly reduce our carbon footprint because those are things that are going to off-gas in a landfill and off-gas methane. So it could be about a 6 or 7% carbon savings right there if we meet our waste reduction goals. So that gives you an example of how we can, you know, change our footprint just by doing very basic things we know how to do, like recycling, like composting.
So is there a lesson in your efforts here for the rest of us? I mean, what advice do you have for the rest of us who are working on a slightly smaller scale in our daily lives and, you know, trying to do our part?
I really think at the end of the day what it's going to take is everybody getting involved, even if it's on a very small level. So we have a convention, we have 35 to 50,000 people here in a city celebrating what could be the next president of the United States and the next administration that will do something significant on climate change. So in your individual lives, yes, recycle, compost, you know how to do this, it's not that hard. Walk more. Power your homes by wind energy or renewable energy. You can sign up right through your utility usually in most of your rooms. buy food locally, go to farmers markets, bring your bags to the shopping market. These are small things, but if you add them all up, if we add them all up as Americans, we add them all up as a globe, we'll have significant reductions. And it doesn't take much commitment, but it does take some. And I think ultimately that's what we have to do. And my goal here was to make this a sustainable event, but ultimately to have it have a legacy in the city of Denver and also for future Democratic conventions. We can do this, we know how to do it, it's just a matter of commitment.
Now the most important question, what's your best story from this convention so far?
It's endless amounts of stories. I think I'm going to have to write a book after this is done.
Anything you can share to give us an insight on what life is like in Denver this week, from your perspective?
This is my first Democratic convention, my first political convention, and you don't really know what to expect, but you do know it's going to be bigger than you could have imagined, and it's absolutely been that. You get completely motivated by the commitment of our politicians who are there, wanting to change things, wanting to do environmental policy the right way. So I'm heartened by the fact that this is the party that's going to do something serious about our environment. And what's going to take is for voters to do it too. So ultimately, if you're at home watching your TV screen, you're watching the same thing I'm watching and hopefully feeling as moved as I've been and motivated enough to do something, get out there and vote and protect the environment.
Okay, last thing. Today is Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday. There's going to be a speech at the Invesco Field across the way here with about 70,000 people in that stadium. Same goal with the trash? How is that going to work?
It's different at Invesco. Invesco was brought on sort of a last-minute thing, so it was difficult for us because resource recovery was something we'd worked on for about 7 or 8 months implementing and getting the resources and budget for. So I think it'll be a scaled-down version there at Invesco, but you will see recycling bins.
Okay, great. Anything else you want to add? Anything I'm leaving out?
If you want more information, you can check out our website at demconvention.com/greening.
There's no programs or anything I left out?
Let's see. You've talked about production already. Do you know the lectern's made of sustainably harvested wood?
I didn't.
I'll tell you a little bit more about production.
Okay.
So when you look at the stage and the podium that our government officials are speaking at, the lectern that is right in front of them is actually made of sustainably harvested woods and is made of no volatile organic compound paints and no formaldehyde sealants and stains. And the production company was really, really great, PRG, about working with us on our sustainability initiatives. And about 80% of the materials used for the staging is reused and reusable. The carpet is recycled carpeting made by Interface. And like I said, the wood's sustainable. A lot of the shrink wrap and materials that it was shipped in will be reused. They were actually shipped, all the pieces of the stage were shipped in biodiesel trucks. And they're calculating our carbon footprint, they're part of our carbon emissions metrics. And whatever leftover woods there are will be recycled in the restoration phase along with the metals or given to community organizations like Habitat for Humanity.